And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I'm host of this fabulous show, Beyond the Woodline. Real quick before I get started with my guest tonight, uh, Shane actually asked me right before I hit go live if I do commercials, and I don't do commercials, but I have a couple of people I like to give a shout out to. One of them being Steffi from Steffi Creations. She's on Etsy. She makes these little REM pods back here, really cool REM pods, and she has a couple of different models. She also has a kit that you can make your own spirit box with. Her link is in my bio. It's going to be on the bio on this show also. So go check her out, man. She's really cool. Got some great products. Um, and yeah, if you use Woodline as a discount code, you get 15% off. And she's not sponsoring me. You know, I don't get anything from promoting her stuff. She's just a great person. Uh, so go check her out. And then also my good buddy Walter. He has his own Etsy shop called Layered Legends. Go check him out. He 3D prints all kinds of cool stuff. And again, he's not sponsoring me. I'm not making any money off of his stuff. He's just a great guy, and I definitely want to give him a shout out. So go check out Steffi Creations and Layered Legends on Etsy. Um, so for you guys who don't know, I am part of the JRG, which is the Jetting Research Group. We're a Bigfoot organization. We have teams all over the country. I'm sure you guys have heard me give the list out 200 times already. Um, if there's not a team in your state and you want to join the JRG, let me know. Even if there is a team in your state and you want to start your own team, you're welcome to do that. Anyone we set you up with, we're going to vet them. We're going to vet you. Unfortunately, there are crazy people in this world, and we try to make sure that everybody can gel together and there aren't any issues. That's something we do take very serious, and you should take serious too. We always say research the researcher. So anybody you ever hook up with, whether it's paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs, man, research them. Don't just go out with anybody. Just be careful. And I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb, no matter what you're doing. Um, Also, I've got Beyond the Woodline fan page. You guys can go and join that. Whatever you have as far as teams and evidence that you guys want to promote, go join that team. I mean, go join that page and promote your stuff, man. You know, I like networking. I like everybody to share and get along. And again, it doesn't matter if you're in paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs, whatever. So go join the Beyond the Woodline fan page, and also I have the Woodline Paranormal. I got a lot of stuff going on. So the Woodline Paranormal is my paranormal team. Uh, I have a page for that too. Go join that page too and promote your stuff, man. Share away. I'd be happy to have you do that. Again, it's all about unity. People talk about unity. Unfortunately, there's not always that unity, but we try to keep it. Everybody happy and um, I certainly don't get into the whole politics, and I don't get into the drama either. So yeah, you guys want to join either one of those pages or both pages, do it. Share whatever you want to share and promote whatever you want to promote. Um, so, with all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me ramble off. I have Shane and Lisa White Eagle. Did I say the names right? Shane and Lisa?
Yep.
Okay. I couldn't remember Lisa's, but it's okay. Cool, man. So, how are you guys doing tonight? Thanks a lot for joining the show.
Well, we're great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I found you guys on TikTok. Is that where I found you guys?
Yes,
Yeah,
TikTok.
I found you on TikTok. Yeah, yeah. I find teams everywhere. I find them on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, of course. So it's hard for me to keep track of where I find teams. And I write in my notes like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, wherever I find people. But I don't have my notes with me right now, so it's hard for me to tell. Um, yeah, so if you guys don't mind, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what got you guys started into the paranormal?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Um, well, growing up, I've had like a lot of paranormal experiences. Like almost every single house that I lived in had some sort of spirit or whatever.
Yeah, the whatever sort of the scarier parts.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I don't know, during COVID, Shane asked if we wanted to do ghost hunting. Um, I don't know if it stemmed from us living when we first moved into the house. There was a lot of activity in the house. And so he's just like, hey, do you want to just, do you want to get a team together and, do ghost hunting? And I was just like, sure.
Yeah, why not?
We used to go to a lot of native festivals, powwows, growing
Right.
up, and a lot of speaking engagements. So we always had connections to the paranormal stuff. Our traditional, our history, for sure. But I was one of those kids that really liked listening to the paranormal stories. And we had a lot of experiences growing up, a lot of native stuff. Um, I retired about 5 years ago, and to help get some of our grown kids back in, do something with us, we decided to do the group and do it officially as a family. And it's
Right.
grown since then.
So let's back up a little bit. When you moved into this house and you said you had stuff going on, like how long did it take you to figure out that paranormal stuff was actually happening, and it wasn't like you
It's
know?
pretty quick. Um,
Okay,
when we bought the house, I had it renovated at the same time.
okay,
Um, we had workers that started complaining about it, and some that wouldn't come here by themselves.
right,
So, uh, even when my son and I, my son Hunter and I did a lot of the work while they were working on things too.
hmm,
And I was in the basement with a wet dry vac, and I don't know if you've ever used one; they're very loud.
right, yeah.
I was cleaning up some, paint chips, stuff like that. And I hear this woman right in my ear say, "The house is beautiful." I'm
Oh
like,
wow,
yeah, turned the vac off. I thought, Lisa or somebody had come down, but I was still in the house by myself, and that was probably my first thing.
okay,
Um, Once we moved in, then a lot of other stuff happened. We had a ladder sitting by the front door because we were still in the process of remodeling, and all night it just got against the wall until I lost my tipper and said, "Knock that off." And then it was okay. But
yeah,
mostly with the woman, we have two that we know. The woman's very melodic. She likes to sing a lot, mostly humming. The guy is a younger guy, and he likes to spin my son's chair up in the third floor and knock stuff off the table, and he's a little more. He likes to have fun.
right. Yeah, you talked about doing renovations. And I know it's kind of early, but did you notice that stuff picked up when they were doing the renovations?
Well, because we started renovations literally 4 days after I closed.
Oh
So
wow, okay,
I didn't really have a chance. I did come here once or twice when we were waiting for it to close, and there was some stuff here, right? With us as natives, we're born being told that spirits are as real as you and I. They're a part of nature, and we treat them with respect, and so forth. So it's not a big deal. Every place we've lived, we've had something. Even before we got together, and we've known each other since we were 5 and 7.
oh, okay,
Um, but yeah, it was just here. And then we had neighbors and people that lived here previously. The excuse me, the original family that bought the house was here 104 years, and even when the house was built brand new, they were seeing what they called the white lady. You hear that all the time, but the
hmm,
children would only see her, and she was very nice to them apparently. Um, Turns out we found an article. This house was the first house in the street. It was built in 1888, and it was all woods around us. And a young woman at 23 hung herself in a tree out back. She found herself. She was going to be a mom. She wasn't married in mid 1800s, so I'm thinking that's probably where she came from. The guy upstairs, he actually hung himself on our third floor about 30
okay.
years ago.
Oh wow. Well, this is Brenda. I don't know if she's on or not, or if she logged back out, but
That's my mother, and
okay,
she's
okay.
trying. It looks
Yeah, she's
like.
trying. Hopefully, somebody can help her out because I don't see her. And usually, like the where it says BWE, if she was talking, it would kind of be doing that, but it's not doing that either. So,
Yeah.
Brenda, try again. Log out if you can hear me. Log out and then log back in. Maybe you. do it like that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. So, what actually made you say, "Hey, let's do the paranormal"? I mean, what was that incident, or was it an incident? Was it something that just that
Well,
occurred?
we've always had a fascination,
Mhm.
and we do always talk about things, different things that happen to certain things. And as natives, we have a friend or somebody that has something going on. They might ask us to come over and help out, those types of things.
Right.
We were taught how to try to do everything respectfully and how to protect ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, and so we decided, why not?
Mhm.
Um, and then next thing you know, we're doing 40 of them a year, and I don't know, the
Wow.
20 speaking engagements and all kinds of other stuff. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Let me see. Brenda's trying again. Still
Sorry.
nothing. That's like no, that's fine. That's fine. Hopefully she can figure it out. Hopefully somebody can help her out with that. I know sometimes it can get um, complicated, but yeah. Um, so what was like one of y'all's first like official investigations?
First one. Oh, that was probably Hencoop, I think. Um,
Yeah.
We don't normally do uh, cemeteries.
Cemeteries.
Okay.
And if we do, it's usually a place that's very old that they could use somebody like, to talk to or to help things get straightened out a little bit.
Yeah.
But when we go to a cemetery, we always do a little prayer. We do a tobacco offering, and we ask for permission to be
Right.
there. So we did Head Coop. We had a lot of activity, but we're pretty open.
Yeah.
Especially Lisa, she can do a lot of things seem to attract to her. I call her the beacon all the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that was the first one, and then I think the second one was an old hotel, the Dudley Hotel in Salamanca, New York.
Okay.
Also very active.
Hmm.
And then it just kind of kept from there. We just had so many of them now; it's hard to remember some of them.
Right. Yeah. And some people they kind of frown upon the cemetery thing. Going to cemeteries. I don't. And it's like you said. I think it's okay if you go to an older one, and it's something that people just aren't visiting that often. Um, if the spirits are there, then why not go visit them? Because people are like, well, they're probably not even
Well, be
there. Well,
respectful. Why not?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If the spirits aren't there, you're not bothering them. If the spirits are there, and you're respectful, and you say, hey, do you want to communicate with me? If they want to, they can. If not, they don't have to, right? So I don't see anything wrong with going to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't go to a freshly dug grave, and
Yeah.
but yeah, finding an older cemetery, and hey, somebody wants to communicate. If you're here,
Mhm.
if you're not there, like I said, they're not there, so no harm.
Well, this one was started in the low to mid 1700s, so it was pretty old.
Right.
And as you find with a lot of cemeteries or consecrated ground, the people do things there that they probably shouldn't.
Right.
We
Yeah.
did find some what we call bad medicines,
Okay.
um, hanging in a tree with a bunch of bones and other
Right.
stuff. Um, but and we have a lot of activity, a lot of interaction with our equipment, and we do a lot of equipment mostly for our media platforms. But
Right.
uh, it was quite active, and then we went back once for a documentary in the wintertime, and it was even active there during the day.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, there's 8 inches of snow on the ground, and there was a live snake. So it was very odd
Oh wow.
in Western New York, especially.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to have to include Lisa a little more. I think she's getting tired.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fun place there. We've been there 3 times now over the years. Um, Probably our last time because now, life is starting to encroach on the cemetery.
Right. Yeah.
It used to be way out by itself, and now there's, people building homes around it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a cemetery that I've only gone to twice, and it's north of Houston. It's a place called Huntsville, Texas. It's way back in the woods by itself, and yeah, 1700s, maybe late 1800s. But people have gone there so much, and it's one of those places that seems to be like that. Hey, Joshua, thanks for tuning in, buddy. That maybe originally there wasn't a lot of activity there, but because of hundreds of people have gone, that they probably have brought all kinds of energy up or conjured kind of energy up,
Yeah,
and
we're
yeah,
always careful with that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
That's one of the reasons why we do new places.
mhm,
Almost 95% of the places we go to are places we found. Historic
yeah,
sites that we looked up and you know networked. Um,
yeah,
just because you never know what other people may be doing, and they're not always respectful, right?
yeah,
They see spirits as we see them as people, right? And even the ones that aren't people, we still try to show that respect, right?
right,
Um, but people that sometimes mix disciplines or that do things that as natives we wouldn't do. We kind of avoid those places if we can. Poor mom.
yeah. And
Keep trying.
you know, so like where I'm living at now, one of my neighbors had told me, and I had already been here a little over 2 years, and my neighbor told me that the people that lived here before me, they used to do seances, and he's like, anything ever happened in there? I'm like, no. I said either they didn't know what they were doing and they didn't open anything up to begin with, or they knew what they were doing and they closed everything up right, But nothing's ever happened here. But I think in a lot of these places, people probably are fooling around and they don't really know what they're doing, and that's when they start conjuring up stuff, and uh,
Right. And it's
and
not our place to do that, right?
yeah,
We don't do seances. We don't do Ouija, anything like that, because we respect the spirits that are still there, right?
right, yeah,
We even like Lisa uses dowsing rods. Um, she's actually really good at it. At first, we were all a little skeptical. We don't say that's proof of anything, but she's found out a couple murders
mm,
that we could verify. She's got some really good stuff.
yeah,
But even when she does that, she asks for permission,
mm,
whether she's allowed to use them. And
mm,
then she puts that intent with that only spirits that belong here. We're not bringing anything else from where else,
yeah,
because it's not our place to do that.
right.
Um, but she's got some great activity on those rods. She had one a couple weeks ago too that was really fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
That should lead in.
Yeah, it's your mom that keeps texting too.
So how
Yeah,
about
we did the reliquarian house in Cushiqueb, Pennsylvania, and I made contact with one of the main owners of the the
Original home.
the original
Elijah
home.
Kane.
And he drew me into like a room and pointed me into directions of like some personal items that belonged to him that he wanted on display. So yeah, that was really weird because I literally had like the goosebumps, like head to toe. You know how the hair on your arms stand up and
right, yeah,
the back of your neck, like the whole entire time. Like before I'd ask a question, I'd get like all the goosebumps and everything. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
hmm.
Uh, Made the owner of the home very excited. So it was pretty cool.
So what made you pick the dowsing rods?
Why would I pick them?
Yeah, or what made you go with that rather than go with any other piece of equipment?
I don't know. I just
Mm,
honestly, I don't know. I think
mhm.
they were just like, I don't know if it's like you're drawn to something,
Okay,
and I was just
yeah,
like, you know what, I want some dowsing rod. I've never knew what they were before.
mhm,
And
right,
so I can't remember if I ordered them or somebody gave them to me, but yeah, I've had them for a couple years now, and it's probably one of my favorite things that I like to do.
yeah,
Is the dowsing rods.
If it's all right with Lisa, I'll tell you a little bit more personal background with her. When she was 8 months old, she drowned. She was actually called, legally dead for 27 minutes as an infant,
mhm.
and somehow they revived her. Actually, her grandmother revived her after the EMTs gave up.
Oh wow,
Since that time, she attracts a lot of stuff, and this seemed like a logical way for me, when she started doing it, for her to be able to, communicate and control, what's happening. Sometimes people get, things want to attach to people, and we're very careful with that. But
it happens, though.
it does. It does happen.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had any attachments?
Lisa,
We've inadvertently brought stuff home, like in the beginning.
Yeah,
of doing our group.
Like when we clean a house, right? We say nothing malevolent, bad, whatever, what may happen, and we'll leave the good stuff, right? As long as it has good intentions. And when we clean a house, we also use pine on our doors. We use cornmeal to seal the property, things like that. Most natives do, or a lot of natives. We made the mistake when because we smoke ourselves before and after. And we also wear leather.
Like we smudge ourselves with sage and.
Yeah, I should probably clarify that. But this time we kind of did it because it was early on. We did it like we would a house. Nothing negative, nothing benevolent. We didn't say nothing, right?
Yeah.
Nice, sweet young woman came home with us and scared the Jesus out of our daughter when she was sleeping.
Oh wow!
But we learned then to make sure that we always say, nothing could go home. You have to set that intent, and we we didn't think about it at the time, but it was pretty weird.
So you mentioned leather, that you wear leather. What is that? What is the significance of that? Because I've never heard that.
Oh yeah, a lot of natives do it.
Okay.
You'll see with newborn babies, they'll put leather on them to keep like that.
I got mine on now
to protect them, so they can't be jumped, or their spirit is new in their body. So it helps keep that from happening, and it keeps away the negative stuff from attaching. A lot of us still today, especially when we do things like this, will wear that leather so that we can't be jumped.
Right.
I know that sounds funny, but it works well.
Okay. And Brenda says, "Good job." She's like, I guess she finally said, "I just watch it on YouTube."
Well, I messaged her like, "You're going to have to give up there."
Yeah, sorry about that, Brenda. We'll get you on next time. We'll get you on next time, I promise. So I've got a friend of mine named Don. He's Navajo, and he's talked on my show before, and we tried to do a show not too long ago, but the connection sucked. We couldn't even really talk more than a few minutes. And it's always kind of weird that sometimes when we're talking about things that we shouldn't be talking about, I'll have connection issues, and
we've noticed that too.
Yeah, and like I said, he's Navajo, and that particular show we were going to talk about like Bigfoot and Dogman primarily, and like little people, and he's actually gotten backlash from the community for talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially with the Navajos, that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys: have you guys had faced any kind of backlash at all, or you shouldn't be doing this, or don't be doing that?
Not so much. We were always prominent in the powwow community, right? In the Native community. She's Tuscarora Mohawk. I'm Rappahannock. I'm part of the Powhatan Confederacy. So we don't get a lot. Just people like, oh, be careful, but that's about it.
Are you crazy?
But we also we know what not to talk about. Little people is also usually a sore subject. And there's only some stuff I'll talk about with little people. Hairy man, I'll talk about a lot, but not personal relationships that may still exist. Things like that. Yeah. Big or UFOs, we can talk about them all you want, and a lot of natives actually, believe it. Well, the Navajo, star people, stuff,
Right. Yeah. I've got a friend of mine. He's Hispanic. He's Mexican, and his wife is Native. And all I know is that she's from the New Mexico area. I don't know what she is exactly. And like he doesn't even do the Bigfoot stuff anymore because they told him, don't be doing that. They told him, don't go. Leave him alone. Don't mess with him. Just leave him alone. So, yeah.
And certain people's a little more superstitious, right?
Yeah,
Some
right.
people's, like skinwalkers, big no to talk about if you're Navajo and
Yeah,
So
yeah, right.
Even though that's an issue now, that's kind of everywhere. It
Right.
didn't
Yeah,
used to be, but it is now.
yeah, and yeah. It's more, I guess, accepted now, and it's out in the mainstream, I guess you could say. But
Mhm.
yeah. So have you guys ever been scared or like legit scared on an investigation, paranormal investigation?
You're probably talking to. We've had a lot of teammates, but Lisa and I are pretty. We're old sages. It's a
No,
little
but
harder.
I thought he was gonna say yeah, because there was one time with
Oh,
the Bigfoot.
Okay.
yeah. She wasn't expecting Bigfoot. That was the thing. That was the
Okay.
only time I ever seen her nervous. Um, we were in Guernsey Hollow, state forest all around us.
Where's that again?
Guernsey Hollow in
Okay.
New York,
Okay.
not too far from the Allegheny Reservation.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Figueres. And we're looking for ghosts. There was all these stories about ghosts, and then we start hearing these tree knocks, very loud, repetitive tree knocks, and sometimes in patterns.
Hmm.
Um, then we started hearing large tree branches breaking. Now we're in bear country. I kind of assumed that was what we kept looking for bear. Um, and then another strange thing started happening. Deer and a possum and some other animals started coming very close to us,
Oh, okay.
like they were scared of something more than us,
Right. Yeah.
And then we heard this real loud, noise, and this grunt growl thing, and Lisa got a little nervous on that one. She's looking back and forth. I gotta say, that's the only place, and we've done hundreds now. So
Oh, okay. Hmm.
now we've had some weird stuff that was creepy. Like we call it one place the Mimic House, where, and human spirits can't do this, but something was able to mimic almost everybody's on the team's voices.
Yeah.
And not just that, my daughter, my next to youngest, is almost 23, mimicked her voice, and she wasn't there. So that was kind of weird.
Oh, wow.
We had a lot of activity in that house, and that was just a feeling because of another date got moved,
Mhm.
and it was crazy. A lot of banging and bashing and dragging and stomping, and it was just that. It was just a very strange place. Shadow figure.
Footsteps following people down the stairs.
Yeah, that's another thing. Old house.
Right.
You hear this clump, 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 clump right behind you after you get to the bottom of the steps. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of interaction with our equipment too.
Okay. So you want to talk about some of your team members? Want to give them a shout out?
Sure. We have our main crew is Tana and Justin Capron, and we have Tom, Big Tom, and we have my brother Lance, my mother Brenda, Hunter, Lisa, Chrissy Holtz. But we also have a lot of other part-time members. I mean, we could go from 3 people to 30 if we needed to, depending on the size of the place. We have a lot of natives, but we also have a number of authors and historians, like Ellen Frank. I'm sorry I didn't mention her name. She was going to try to get on here tonight too, but she had a pipe burst in her house.
Oh.
She's the historian for Ellicottville, New York.
Oh.
So we have a lot of those types in there, and then we have people that have specialty, like Chrissy Holtz has a psychology degree, and so we look for educated, open-minded people. We kind of bring them into the group, good people.
Yeah, that's good. And who's gotten scared?
well, almost all of them.
Yeah.
My brother Lance is a little harder. He's a little, stay more stable, but Lisa likes to sneak up on him at places. So he
Not on
gets scared,
purpose.
but not from necessarily paranormal stuff. Monkey, I should say Justin Capron, we call him Monkey. He's probably the one that gets the most scared. He's funny to watch when he gets like that. But everybody else, yeah, from time to time, they'll get scared. You know,
Right.
they'll have me and Lisa come and go into a place or sit with them.
Yeah. You know, like we were talking before we came on the air about the house that I used to live on or live at, and I wouldn't say we got scared, but we certainly got unnerved because it wasn't scary living there because nothing there was like evil or had ill intent or was trying to chase us out. It would just come up on you and surprise you, you know, and that was kind of unnerving to say the least, you
Yeah,
know.
oh yeah.
And but yeah, we never like got scared. And like one time I woke up in the middle of the night. It was maybe, you know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. In my side of the bed, there was a window right there, and you know, there's a street light outside, so you can kind of see, you know, the light. And I woke up one morning, or early morning, 2, 3 o'clock, and there was a lady standing there. All I saw was her silhouette, and she. When I opened my eyes, I saw her for like maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds, and she moved towards me. And when she moved towards me, it scared the hell out of me. And I threw a kick at her, you know, and then she disappeared.
Yeah.
But she wasn't trying to scare me, you know, like I'm gonna get you, you know. She just
Right,
moved
right.
towards me and scared the hell out of me, you know. But,
I think with us too, even with Lance, literally from the time we're babies, a lot of us were able to see things from time to time, and we just when you like of spirits, that's just same as a tree. We just got used to it. There's good and bad, there's whatever, there's indifference, and so it really never. But you know, when I can see when something you're not expecting to be there, all of a sudden coming at you, that could be
right.
startling for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and we've had those kinds of experiences a few times. Um, some shadow people, but what we call true shadow people are probably different than mainstream shadow people.
Right.
Um, True shadow people are where they were never people to begin with, and they're more like an elemental type of thing. Most of the time, they're indifferent to people. They don't have a sense of right and wrong like we do,
Right.
and it's we can't expect them to do that. If you get their attention, sometimes they might have fun with you, but other
Yeah.
than that, you see the other shadow people, which they hardly ever did way back when. But now I think with a lot of these shows, people are, you were talking about, sometimes we project things
Yeah.
into the, an environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are seeing now is, a spirit says, "Oh, this is what you want me to look like."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I had a friend of mine. He moved into a house, and as they were moving into this house, they found out from one of the neighbors that the previous owner had, you know, ended his life there in the house. He had terminal cancer, and so he ended his life. And so my buddy started messing with his wife. He was flicking the lights on and off, saying, "Jack's gonna get you. Jack's gonna get you." You know, trying to scare his wife. Well, he invited something into the house doing that, and he blamed himself because it was a bad spirit. It definitely was a bad spirit.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got to be careful in inviting things. Yeah,
yeah, and you know, he didn't do. He was just having fun. He
yeah,
didn't
oh,
think
yeah.
anything about it, and that's what I tell people too. You really do have to be careful, you know, because you can, you know, invoke something. You can invite something, you know,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, even like when we have something, bad medicine, right?
Mhm.
We don't talk about it in the house. We'll go out to, on one of the decks or something and talk about it.
Okay.
And that's why we have pine above our doors, and we have a multi-level way of trying to protect ourselves because, we're pretty open people and we invite people here a lot. But I always set that intent and make sure we protect ourselves because you never know who you're bringing in. And even talking about certain things, you're right.
Yeah.
Could be an opportunity and an invitation.
Yeah. So let me ask you this too. So we talk about like protecting, you know, your house or protecting yourself. Um, could you, as a Native American, tell me, hey, Joe, this is what you need to do? You know, even though it might not be in my culture, but do this. We do
Well,
it,
it
and it
depends on
works.
if you have the belief or not in
Okay.
me. For faith is a big part of everything, right?
Right.
We have lots of different faiths in our group now, even though
Right.
most of us are natives,
Right.
and all of those follow that. But
Mhm.
almost all the other people now start doing the native stuff too. But
Right.
we have
Yeah.
some that also will carry a rosary or
Yeah.
whatever, depending on what their faith was too. So most of them will do that, and as long as somebody believes, that your medicine is strong. I
Mhm.
know that's a weird word probably for most people, but that's what we use for that.
Okay.
Um, then it can help protect you. But if you have doubt, or whatever, then
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah. And that actually makes a lot of sense because close to 5 years ago, I started working with crystals.
Mhm.
Before that, I would have never ever have done it. I would have told you were crazy.
Yeah,
But now I've got a whole collection of crystals sitting behind me. I've got a crystal in my
yeah.
truck.
She was pointing them
Got a
out.
crystal, yeah, because I believe that those, help me out in just my everyday life. So
Right, and yeah, it's that belief that makes it more powerful.
yeah,
A lot of things have power, but we are walking power machines in this plane of existence. This is how we believe we have the ultimate authority in this plane because this plane is made for us, right? And so we walk around. We know that part. It doesn't mean we take advantage of that position, but we
right,
know that going into it. And then there's a lot of things out there that certainly can be helpful, but the person has to believe in it.
right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So what do you guys have coming up next? Do you have any investigations that
We
you're
have
going to?
a lot of them.
Yeah.
We're going to probably put you probably get these too. We get a lot of calls from local people.
Hmm.
Well, from people in general. Somebody that just lost somebody wants to know a Native American or my personal or her personal view to help them cope. Um, we try to do some of those, even though that's not our favorite places to do,
Hmm.
because you never know if somebody's in the other room knocking on a wall or what their intention is.
Hmm.
But we've got a young couple. I won't give you any specifics, but they moved into a place 3.5 weeks ago. Husband was not a believer in anything paranormal. The wife works night shift taking care of elderly people,
Hmm.
and the husband's been having all kinds of problems, banging and coat sleeves flapping up and down and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And he just dealt with it. He just kept calling her all the time. Didn't happen when she was home though. Then a couple nights ago, the 19-month-old had something that screamed, it scared the baby, and baby kept saying bad guy, pointing in the corner. So that kind of situation, we decided we'll go out, at least give them some validation and see what we can find out. But we have a lot of other bigger places coming up, several in Belfast, the 71 West Bar and Grill in Fillmore. Just a bunch. We have 44 right now that are confirmed. We're just trying to get dates on,
Oh wow.
and then we have another. Well, we have 400 or so that we're almost done with. So we're very good at networking and getting these places lined up. But this year we've been trying to do a little less because we were doing them every single weekend for a long time, and it was
Yeah.
taxing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We try to do something once a month, and even at that,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah,
Well, people work and they have jobs and have families.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's our thing too. We almost always do them on Saturdays because it's.
Sorry.
She worked early this morning and then went back to work and got home right before we got on here, so she's a little tired. But yeah, a lot of our work schedules and our kids' schedules conflict, so most of the time we do them on Saturdays. And then if we have speaking engagements, we'll do them during the week in the evenings.
So what's some of y'all's best evidence that you've captured, whether it be video or audio or
You tell me
picture?
what you think, and I'll tell what I think.
Definitely, I think audio. There, we've gotten like a lot of like straightforward answers for questions that we've asked.
Very clear,
Yeah.
audible one.
Yeah. But I think my favorite was when we did the Stone House in Machias, New York.
Previous poor farm
Yeah. So
and asylum.
I was down in the basement all by myself, and I had the SLS camera down there, and I was also live, I think.
We do lives on most of our investigations too.
And so I was panning the camera around, and I was showing Boo Bear and talking about some of the equipment, what it does and whatnot. And then I had panned down the hallway, and the hallway is probably what, like 30 feet, 30, 40 feet?
Yeah, or more. Yeah.
And I had panned down the end of the hallway, and I didn't see it at first, but there's this really tall, dark figure standing at the end of the hallway. And it looked like it was wearing like one of those top hats. And I turned back around because Boo Bear was talking. So I was just like, oh, answering Boo Bear. And then I panned back around, and the figure is gone.
And it was distinct because the building's owned by the county. We have a partnership with Cattaraugus County Department of Economic Development and Tourism, as well as a bunch of others. In that, she saw the figure was an emergency light. So it's lit up at the end of that hall. So she sees, this 7 foot tall, dark figure. It was pretty creepy. I think for mine, we did this old restaurant that was a bar for many, 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 many years. We were getting a lot of activity, and we try to vet everybody's that we go, their buildings and stuff before we get there. But sometimes people don't tell you the whole thing. But anyway, we're there. I went downstairs on where the second bar was, and there's a REM pod going off. And if there's a REM pod going off a lot, we'll reset it just to see, make sure it's not something else or a low battery or whatever. Well, it sounded like the wall was coming down when I was at the bar. And a subwoofer, pretty heavy, I don't know, 18 inches tall, probably squarish, went flying like 18 feet with a bunch of steel rods. And when how in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, in a very quiet place, it really sounded like a wall was falling down. But that was crazy, and that's the first time we ever had. I mean, you'll have things move sometimes, REM pods slide over, little things, but for something like that to go so far, really threw us for a loop that night.
My cousin, he's got his own paranormal team. Says we need to get together with Stars Paranormal Research. We certainly do, buddy. We need to hook up and do something crazy. But yeah, man. So you talked about the guy with the top hat. I actually saw the guy with the fedora type hat, and they call him a Hat Man, right? Do you think those two entities are one and the same?
Well, that's a story that's been going on for a long time. The guy with the fedora or the top hat.
Mine was the cowboy hat.
Yeah, with a lot of natives, it's reservation hats.
Okay.
It depends. Right now, it seems like the prevailing thing, kind of like we were talking about with shadow people. I think sometimes that's what we're expecting, or sorry about that.
Okay. He didn't like you talking about them.
Yeah. But yeah, we see a lot of the hat things pretty often. But
I was gonna say I had never heard of the Hat Man when I saw him. I didn't know who the hell he was or what he was. And then also, so my friend that was flicking the lights on and off, telling his wife Jack's gonna get you, he saw him too. And this is what it really wreaked havoc in his house. And this was even before I had found out what Hat Man was too. So
really,
it's kind of strange. Yeah,
wow.
I had never heard of it. He had never heard of it. And when he told me the story, I was like, you know what? I've seen that guy too. And I still at that time didn't know until the internet came along.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, we've been asked that question a few times. It's a lot of people do see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, we have a couple very large dogs.
Oh no, you're fine, guys.
Sometimes they can be loud when they get excited.
So I know Lisa talked about she likes the dowsing rods. What do you like, Jane?
What do you like?
I'm sorry.
Your equipment. What do you like to use?
Well, I use more basic stuff. I like millimeters, things like that. I have static testers. I have different types of electrical type instruments. I used to, one of my old businesses was I owned a construction company. We used to use millimeters to find the lines in the wall, right? So that to me, it has a lot of meaning for it, because I know back in the day, that was the only thing, if you had a live wire that would make that thing go off, right?
Right, yeah.
So now when you get these spikes, it meant something to me, but that's what I probably use the most. But I like using my body more than you think.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, I like the millimeters too. We've gone out to this little town north of Houston also. It's called Old Town Spring. And certain spots, man, them things just light up, and you're nowhere near, power lines. You're nowhere near, anything electrical.
Right, and that's significant.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a chip on it. It can't be manipulated, right?
Yeah.
We get a lot of activity on cat balls. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
We have, I think, 8 different types of REM pods. We get some decent amount on those. But I like the old school tools,
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. We were at that Old Town Spring, and I had, we had a REM pod, and we laid that sucker down there everywhere and never went off. But we went to this old place. It was an old ice house. It was where they stored ice, but they also, anytime someone passed away, that's where they would put the body at. So if you needed some ice, you could go to the ice house and get ice, but there's probably gonna be a body laying in there too. And man, that thing was just going off in there. It was pretty crazy.
That's creepy, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Sometimes we get stuff we can't quite explain.
Yeah.
We had at the Reliquarian House, which is a 7,700 square foot mansion. It's really beautiful. Kane family were very prominent in Pennsylvania. They were millionaires back in the 1800s. They'd be billionaires today, and they're still actually a very prominent family. But they had this kids' playhouse that was originally built when the house was built, right? And we had Boo Bear and a camera out there, and Boo Bear somehow got nothing else in the room, because it's got antique furniture and all this cool stuff in there, even cloth stuff too. Boo Bear had this weird, shiny, sparkly, oily stuff on his entire body.
Boo Bear got slimed.
Yeah, poor Boo Bear. Wow. He really takes a beating in our group. But and we get some other stuff. You get people sometimes grab on you and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Lisa's been, a lot of the females in our group have been grabbed inappropriately, multiple places.
Not on our bodies, but in the buildings, multiple places like buildings.
Well, yeah, Brenda says, I like the camera that maps out the spirits.
Yeah, she likes the SLS camera.
Yeah. And she uses like a K2 meter a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our group is very varied in age. We go from very early 20s to upper 70s in our group. So it's
my group.
Yeah. And I like that, because you get to see a lot of different types of, experiences from, It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Our youngest member, she's 16. She can't go to the places that, some places are 18 and over.
But we go to teenagers we'll do that with too. Yeah.
And then, but her sister's 18, so she gets to come with us. And then our oldest member, I think he's 76, I want to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all over the road, which is fun. I enjoy the hell out of it. Was one other question I wanted to ask you. I know you talked about getting touched, and I've been touched and poked a couple of times. And that's what I was going to ask you too. But it seems like women do get touched a lot more than the guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because a lot of these spirits they lived in a different time where that stuff was probably a little bit more acceptable?
Absolutely think that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes too, I have my younger son is 30, just turned 30. He sometimes will get touched with his hair. He used to have this curly hair here, and he would, he gets touched a lot for a guy. Him and Monkey both get, or excuse me, Justin get touched a lot. You know, I don't get touched very often, and usually, I think the last time it was somebody, putting their hand on the back of my shoulder, making me look around. But other than that,
Yeah. Where were we? The Iron House? Where was that? There was a house that we did. I think I got a boyfriend spirit at that house.
We can't. We're not supposed to. Well, she sold that place now, but
yeah,
it's an historic building in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and she definitely had somebody that was really liking her.
Yeah.
I could feel him sitting beside me, and he was like touching my thigh.
Oh wow.
We put meters all around her, and it's just setting them off like crazy,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, I think I was doing. Wasn't I doing the spear box?
And rods, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, got a boyfriend.
That's good.
We look for historic places too because we like the history and I like the architecture. So we find a lot of these cool old buildings.
There's a spot here in Houston. It is damn near in the middle of downtown where the zoo is at, and the Big Herman Park, and that's a really active area. And people, thousands and thousands of people probably walk by there every single day. Don't even realize, that this area is very active.
Yeah.
It was a place where it was a hospital for like during the Civil War. And a lot of soldiers are actually still buried under there. And Texas is like one of 3 states that they didn't have to exhume bodies when they built over. So,
Yeah. Speaking of Civil War soldiers, even when we weren't doing investigations or anything, Hunter was in the Army, and he had done basic training, and then we were going on to his next
advanced
camp.
training. Yeah.
And the hotel that we were at, our youngest was just a baby. She was only a year old. So while they were out, like they packed and they went and ate breakfast and stuff, and I was giving her a bath and everything. We're sitting on the edge of the bed, and I could see down by where the bathroom was a soldier in the room. So like he had like his uniform on, and I was just like, oh, okay, well that's kind of weird. And so I didn't really pay any attention to him. The towels that were sitting on the counter just flew off. So I'm like, okay. So I go and pick up the towel. I put it back on the counter and then walk back to the bed. And then again, it just went flying. And I looked back, and he was just kind of standing there. So I was just like, hey.
Like I said, sometimes she's a beacon, and they're trying to get something across to her, But,
yeah, so we had asked the hotel manager, the guy that was at the desk, and the manager, and they didn't say if anybody's ever experienced anything there, but I was just like, yeah, so just ran into a soldier. But it was kind of neat.
And it was a Southern soldier, a rebel. We were in Georgia or Alabama or somewhere down there. It was down south.
No, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't like the towels there. I don't know. Yeah, and some of those places, they don't want to actually confirm anything because they're afraid they're going to lose business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they probably deep down inside want to say, "You're not the first to see this guy," Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Anything you want to say as far as where people can find you guys? Any kind of contact information?
Well, we're Spirit Hunters Incorporated, INC. We have several social media platforms. You can go any one of them, and you can hit Linktree, and then take you to the rest. Lisa has a blog called ghostlychronicles.com. One of our members is William P. Robertson, does Ghost Revisited series books, and a new one, Pennsylvania Strange, which is, I forget the whole title to it,
Oh,
but check those out, and feel free to check our sites out.
You can find us on TikTok and YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it now.
well, cool, man. And we're already coming up on the end of the hour here. I just want to tell you guys thanks a lot for doing the show. I do appreciate it. If you guys ever need me to promote anything for you guys, man, shoot me an email, hit me up wherever. I'm on Facebook and TikTok, Instagram. Shoot me a message. I'll be happy to promote anything you guys have going on.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate that. And if you're ever up this way or we're over that way, we'll look you up. We look at
Man,
people.
definitely.
We look for people like you that are open minded and still
Yeah.
good people that
Yeah.
respect things.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, if you're down here, man, I'll make sure you get some good Mexican food at the very least.
Don't tempt me. I might go tomorrow.
All right. But you guys hold on real quick. Everyone else, I do have a show next Monday. I don't know who I have on. I never do. If you pay attention to the show, I never know who my next guest is. But I have a show next Monday. And like I said, guys, go to Steffi's Creations on Etsy. She makes these really nice REM pods. She's got a real nice spirit box kit. You buy the kit, you put the box together yourself, however you want to configure it. And then go to Layered Legends. My friend Walter does all kind of 3D printing. And again, they don't pay me to do this. They don't sponsor me at all. This is just they're good people, and I like them both. So you guys go check them out on Etsy. And you two guys hold on. And everybody else, you guys have a great night. And thanks for everybody in the chat that participated. I do appreciate it as always. And I will see you guys next Monday. Have a great night.